Ifunaya, a brilliant but introverted student, sat at the front of her class, always attentive and diligent. Her textbooks were her closest companions, and her focus was unwavering. She rarely interacted with anyone, preferring to keep to herself, absorbing every bit of knowledge her professors imparted. Her quiet nature often meant that she didn't have many friends, but there was one person who always seemed to be by her side: Nena. Nena was everything Ifunaya wasn't: outgoing, popular, and always surrounded by a group of friends. Her presence in the room was commanding, and she effortlessly made new connections wherever she went. While Ifunaya's reserved nature kept her from mingling with others, Nena thrived in social situations. Despite their differences, the two girls shared a deep bond. Nena was Ifunaya's closest friend, and Ifunaya, in turn, trusted Nena more than anyone else. The school uniform they both wore seemed to accentuate their differences. Ifunaya, often seen in her neatly pressed shirt and skirt, exuded an air of quiet intelligence. Nena, on the other hand, wore her uniform with confidence, always the center of attention. The two girls' contrasting personalities seemed to make their friendship all the more intriguing. And while Ifunaya rarely spoke, Nena always made sure their friendship remained strong. It was during one of their classes that Charles, a popular and handsome student, first noticed Ifunaya. While she was always at the front of the class, paying attention and excelling in her studies, Charles had never really paid her much attention before. However, her intelligence and quiet beauty piqued his interest. He would often catch himself glancing her way, admiring her focus and discipline. Charles was the kind of guy who attracted attention, and he had his share of admirers, but there was something different about Ifunaya. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't drawn to him because of his looks or popularity. She didn't even seem to notice him much at all. This intrigued him, and soon he found himself wanting to know more about her. One day, during a break between lectures, Charles brought up his growing interest in Ifunaya with his friends. They sat in their usual corner of the campus cafeteria, a spot often filled with laughter and playful banter. "I think I like Ifunaya," Charles said, his tone serious. His friends exchanged glances, some smirking, others raising their eyebrows in surprise. "She's brilliant, and there's just something about her that feels genuine." "Genuine," his friend Mike laughed. "Bro, she barely talks to anyone. How do you plan to even get her attention? That girl lives in her own world." Another friend, Tunde, chimed in. "You'll only embarrass yourself, Charles. Girls like Ifunaya are impossible to crack. She'll probably ignore you, or worse, shut you down completely." Charles frowned, their words causing him to second guess himself. "Maybe she's just misunderstood. People think she's unapproachable because she's quiet. I think there's more to her than that." "Look," Mike said, "I'm just saying, save yourself the trouble. Go for someone easier. You've got girls literally throwing themselves at you. Why waste time on someone who won't even look your way?" For the rest of the day, Charles mulled over their advice. Doubt crept in, but the image of Ifunaya sitting attentively in class, her head bent over her notes, lingered in his mind. After several days of internal debate, he made his decision. Charles decided not to approach Ifunaya directly. Instead, he'd take things slow. He'd start by trying to be her friend and see where things would lead. During one of their anatomy classes, Charles saw his opportunity. As the lecture ended and students began packing their bags, Ifunaya stayed behind, quietly reviewing the notes she had just taken. Charles walked over, his heart pounding slightly. "Hi, Ifunaya," he began, his voice calm but friendly. She looked up, slightly startled, as if she hadn't expected anyone to address her. Hi, she replied softly, her eyes meeting his briefly before returning to her notes. I noticed you're always focused in class. He continued, easing into the conversation. I was wondering if you'd like to go over some notes together sometime. You know, compare perspectives. Ifunaya hesitated for a moment, studying his face. Charles appeared sincere, and something about his calm demeanor put her at ease. Sure, she finally said, offering a small smile. That was the beginning. Over time, their conversations grew more frequent. Charles was patient, never pushing for more than she was willing to share. Slowly, Ifunaya began to open up, and their friendship deepened. What Charles didn't realize was that his growing connection with Ifunaya hadn't gone unnoticed by Nena, who secretly harbored feelings for him. As Charles and Ifunaya grew closer, Nena noticed the change. She saw how Charles lingered near Ifunaya, how her quiet friend now smiled more often. Though Ifunaya assured Nena that she and Charles were just friends, Nena couldn't shake the feeling of jealousy. Nena, who was used to being the center of attention, felt displaced. She had liked Charles herself, though she had never said it aloud. Watching him grow fond of Ifunaya sparked a resentment she struggled to contain. Rumors and lies. In her frustration, Niena began spreading rumors among their classmates. She whispered to anyone who would listen that Ifunaya wasn't as innocent as she seemed. I heard she's been seeing someone else behind Charles's back, she said, her voice dripping with false concern. The rumors quickly spread, causing whispers and sidelong glances wherever Ifunaya went. When Charles heard the rumors, he confronted her. Are you cheating on me? He asked, his voice a mix of hurt and confusion. Ifunaya was stunned. Charles, you know me better than that, she said firmly. Why would I do such a thing? Charles realized the truth. The rumors didn't align with the Ifunaya he knew. He began piecing together the source of the lies and suspected Nena's hand in it, further fueling his determination to stand by Ifunaya. As Nina's jealousy grew, she devised a plan to break up the budding relationship between Ifunaya and Charles. She knew that Ifunaya had always been a target for rumors, and she decided to exploit this. Nina reached out to Chuk, a popular guy in their school who had always shown interest in her. Together, they made a plan to ruin Ifunaya's relationship with Charles. Nena promised to date Chooks if he carried out the plan to sabotage Ifunaya. The plan was simple yet cruel. Chooks would invite Ifunaya to a study session, drug her, and take compromising pictures of her to frame her as a cheater in front of Charles. Nena's reasoning was that Ifunaya had stolen Charles from her, and this was the only way to teach her a lesson. Chu, a playboy with no real moral compass, agreed to the plan. He didn't see the harm in it as long as he got what he wanted in the end. He invited Ifunaya to a study session, promising her that it would be a group study. But when Ifunaya arrived, she was shocked to find that she was the only one there. Cho assured her that the others would arrive soon, and after some time he offered her a drink. Unbeknownst to Ifunaya, the drink was laced with a powerful drug. As soon as Ifunaya took the drink, she began to feel dizzy and weak. Panicked, she reached for her phone and tried to call Charles, but her phone was on silent mode. She struggled to reach the door, but Chu caught up to her, dragging her back to the bed. He told her to relax and that she had nothing to worry about. But Ifunaya, now barely conscious, was terrified. As Chut moved closer to her, the door suddenly burst open. Charles had been alerted to something wrong and rushed to the location. He had overheard Chugu's conversation over the phone when he picked Ifunaya's call, where he admitted to following Nena's instructions and drugging Ifunaya. Charles stormed in, pushing Chu aside, and rushed to Ifunaya's side. Seeing Ifunaya unconscious and in a compromised state, Charles was filled with rage. He immediately attacked Chu, demanding to know what had happened. Chooks, realizing he had been caught, confessed that he had only been following Nena's orders. He revealed that Nena was the mastermind behind the plan to destroy Ifunaya and Charles' relationship. Charles, devastated by the betrayal, carefully took Ifunaya in his arms and rushed her out of the building. He waited for her to wake up, and when she did, she was horrified to find herself in such a vulnerable position. Charles gently explained everything to her, and Chu confirmed the story. After hearing the full truth, Ifunaya was heartbroken. She never imagined that her best friend, the one person she trusted more than anyone, would betray her in such a cruel way. Determined to confront Nina, Ifunaya, Charles, and Chu went to Nina's place. When Nina saw them, she didn't deny anything. Instead, she coldly admitted to her actions, claiming that Ifunaya had stolen Charles from her. She justified her behavior by saying that Ifunaya had been too focused on her studies to notice the people around her, and she had no right to take Charles away. But Ifunaya, though hurt and angry, knew that she could no longer be friends with someone like Nina. She realized that a friendship built on manipulation and jealousy was not a friendship at all. She decided that it was time to let go of the toxic relationship. In the end, Ifunaya forgave Chus, but she made it clear that if he ever tried anything like that again, she would report him to the police. She chose to move forward with Charles, who had proven himself to be caring, understanding, and loyal. With the past behind them, Ifunanya and Charles focused on their future together.